we have a very important family here sharing a very important message about an impacted family from immigration enforcement. We have the family of Jose Paniagua Garidon speaking on unlawful kidnapping and violence occurrence on December 4th, 2025 by immigration enforcement officers in Vancouver. It was a high-profile case, if you all may remember or heard about in Vancouver, that Jose was arrested violently and he was run over by ICE agents and injured his leg. Right now, we know that Jose was immediately taken initially to the detention center in Tacoma. He was moved from Tacoma to El Paso, and then from El Paso, he was sent to Indiana, and he now is in Kentucky. And the judge actually recently awarded him bond, but ICE immigration is appealing it. So it is my pleasure to bring Jose's family here, and I'll let them introduce themselves and actually share their story. So we have Carmen, and you want to introduce your husband?
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Carmen, and this is my husband, Ulysses. He's gonna say a couple words.
My name is Ulysses Paniagua. I am brother Jose. So I speak in Spanish because my English is not good. So my wife, she trusts me.
We will use a le voy a dar un micrófono a la.
Oh, she trusts.
She's just going to translate that. Her wife is going to translate.
Oh, okay.
Ponte más.
Sorry. Como hermano, ha sido muy doloroso ver a José pasar por este proceso. Justo y ver el impacto que ha tenido en nuestra familia. Estoy aquí para no quedarme en silencio, pero también para dar paso a la persona que ha llevado esta lucha con mucha fuerza y claridad. Le cedo la palabra a mi esposa Carmen, quien hablará por nuestra familia y por mí y por mi hermano. Gracias.
Okay, so he said that as a brother, it has been painful to see Jose go through this unjust process, to witness the impact it has had on our family. I am here not to remain silent, but also to give the floor to the person who has carried the fight with great strength and clarity. I now give the floor to my wife, Carmen, and I will be speaking on behalf of Jose. So first, I want to thank everyone who has shown up and stood by Jose Paniagua and our family during these horrific times. The love, union, and support has meant more than words, more than I can ever put into words. If you are here today, if you are listening to this, then you are already a part of this fight. They expect fear and silence. What they did not expect was unity, and unity is power. We are gathered here today to condemn the actions of people who claim to be public servants but are terrorizing our communities instead. History remembers moments like this, not by what was done to us, but what we refuse to accept. These are not isolated incidents. These are violations of our human rights carried out against our loved ones and our neighbors. My name is Carmen Paniagua, and I am Jose Paniagua's sister-in-law. If you don't know him, you will by the end of this. Jose is a hardworking member of our community, a roofer, a churchgoer, a young man with no criminal history whose life consisted of work, church, and home. On December 4th in Vancouver, Washington, he left home like any other day, never imagining that he would be kidnapped and disappear. After getting off work and grabbing lunch, Jose was ambushed by masked men who boxed his car in. Without identifying themselves, without asking for documentation, they pointed a gun at him, shattered his window, and dragged him out. Witnesses recorded as they held him defenseless on the ground and ran his own vehicle over his foot. The screams that followed will forever haunt us. It broke our hearts, and till this day I can still hear his screams. Even after that, Jose was denied immediate medical care. Instead, he was picked up by his injured foot and slammed in an unmarked vehicle, not taken to a hospital but transported from Vancouver to Portland to Tacoma. For many hours, we had no idea where he was at or if he was even alive. We were left without answers about his condition and location. When I finally learned that he was being held in Tacoma, my husband and I went to the detention center only to be denied entry. We were finally allowed to see him days later, and it was through a glass. We were relieved that he was alive, but devastated by the pain that he was clearly in. The moment that we saw each other, we all got teary. He looked scared, vulnerable, and nothing like the person we know. There was fear in his eyes, and it was clear how alone he felt. That image stays with us every day. It's something you can't unsee, and it's something no family should have to experience. As we began organizing rallies with the help of LULAC, Indivisible, Greater Vancouver, and hundreds of community members, DHS issued a public statement denying what happened. Tricia McGowan called the kidnapping an Oscar-level performance, claiming that they did not run over his leg, despite clear video evidence showing exactly that. She claimed that he was giving multiple x-rays, which directly contradicts their denial of injuring him. They are lying, and they refuse to take accountability. Jose was able to speak at one rally by video chat on December 8th. That was the last time I heard his voice for 80 hours. This was extremely alarming, and it was not like him to go that many hours without contacting us. On December 10th, after constantly refreshing the detainee locator, I saw he had been transferred to El Paso, Texas, over 1,000 miles away. We couldn't confirm his location until December 12th, when he was finally able to reach out. On December 14th, we lost contact again. We later learned that he had not been transferred at all, but isolated in a freezing cold room with no blankets. He told me his entire body hurt. He had a fever, a terrible headache, severe ear pain from the glass still lodged inside him, numbness in his foot, and was rapidly losing weight from constant hunger. Despite being injured on December 4th, he did not receive his first medication until December 7th. The rest of his symptoms have been ignored, and the pain medication has been given inconsistently. He tells us that staying in contact with us is what keeps him going, that hearing our voices gives him the strength to get through each day. But every call is painful. Painful for him to talk. Painful for us to listen. Seeing him like this hurts. Still, we try to stay strong and positive, even when our hearts are breaking.
We're here with you, Carmen.
Jose has been moved to Brazil, Indiana, and Madisonville, Kentucky, concentration camps where he and many others are subject to inhumane conditions. He has been moved repeatedly without stability or time to recover, from Portland to Tacoma, to El Paso, Texas, to Brazil, Indiana, and now Madisonville, Kentucky. For over a month, he was never given a court date, which violates his constitutional right to due process under the Fifth Amendment, requiring a fair and timely legal process. Immigration law and ICE regulations are clear that detention must include prompt access to court review, not indefinite waiting while being transferred across states. His court was finally scheduled on January 15, but the harm caused by the delay in constant transfers has already taken a serious toll. And just when a judge finally ruled that Jose should be released on bond, ICE appealed that decision. Not because he is dangerous, not because he's a threat, but because they can. That appeal means at least another month of captivity. This is not justice. This is retaliation. We need to be clear about something. What happened to Jose is not rare anymore. It's a part of a pattern, and that pattern is escalating. In Minneapolis, Alex Preddy, an ICU nurse and U.S. citizen, was shot and killed by federal immigration agents. A man whose job was to save lives lost his own because he tried to help someone and document what he saw. Not long before that, Renee Good, also a U.S. citizen, was killed during an ICE operation. She was not a criminal. She was not a threat. She was a person going about her life. Her family will never get her back. And this violence does not stop with adults. In Minnesota, Liam Ramos, a 5-year-old child, was taken alongside his father after school. 5 years old. A child used as leverage. A child taught fear instead of safety. Alex, Renee, Liam, Jose. Different cities, different backgrounds, same abuse of power. This isn't about immigration. This is about what happens when the government decides that some people don't deserve rights. And we ask why. Because this is not about public safety. Hundreds of U.S. citizens are being targeted the same way. Dulce Consuelo Madrigal Diaz, a U.S. citizen born in Maryland, was detained for 25 days despite presenting her birth certificate and immunization records. These detention centers are owned by for-profit corporations that received around $200 per person per day from our tax dollars. Human beings have become commodities. These kidnappings are profitable. Racism and unchecked power are being exploited to fuel these concentration camps while agents hide their faces to avoid accountability. This did not happen by accident. Policies are written by people. Orders are approved by people. Public statements are made by people. When DHS officials like Tricia McLaughlin dismiss documented harm, that is a choice. When leadership under Kristi Noem expands enforcement without safeguards, that is a choice. When architects of these policies like Stephen Miller promote fear-based enforcement, that is a choice. When commanders like Greg Bovino and whoever next after him oversee operations where violence occurs without consequences, that is a choice. And when the President of the United States, Donald Trump, empowers and defends this system, responsibility reaches the highest office in this country. Accountability must follow decisions all the way up the chain. People are being targeted because of their skin color, because of their language, because of how they look. What happened to Jose was not a mistake. It was not an accident. It was a choice. A choice to use violence instead of humanity. A choice to abuse authority. And when this behavior is ignored, it becomes normalized. Silence is not an option. Fear is not an option. We demand transparency. We demand accountability. We demand action. We demand change. A badge should never be a license to harm. Without doing a job is not an excuse for brutality. This is not just about Jose. This is for every mother and father afraid to leave their house, for every child waiting for a parent who may never come home, for every worker who leaves each day wondering if today is the day their family is torn apart. We are not asking for special treatment. We are asking to be treated as equals. We are asking to be seen as human. Today it is Jose. Tomorrow it could be me. It could be you. It could be someone you love. This is the moment we stop hoping for change and start demanding it. This is the moment we refuse to stay silent. And this is the moment we become too loud to ignore.
Right. First of all, before we transition to our last panel, Carmen, for your family, I just want to let you know how important your voice is. When I contacted you that you both could be here representing Jose's voice, and you immediately said yes. So I think that we are live streaming. For those that are listening, they've listened to you that couldn't come today, right, that are concerned and afraid. What's your message to them?
Well, thank you that everybody has stood up and showed up and shared. We need to make sure that we use our voice for our parents or for those that can't. We need to keep recording and document what we see because we never know how much we can help doing all of that. And thank you guys so much for the love and support.
Let me take a moment in the name of the community and the name of Latino Civic Alliance and CMAR and everybody who's here. We feel your pain. You are not here alone. You are not alone. We are here because we believe in the fight. We believe in the support that we need to give you. So we just, again, want you to know that you are not alone.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. We need to keep fighting because we are the people.
I wanted to tell you, you guys, I'm from South America, and you remind me so much, your testimony of what we were doing. I was doing this 35, 40 years ago, when we were fighting for desaparecidos, when we were fighting in Chile, when we were fighting in Venezuela, when we were fighting in Colombia. There is no difference. I want for us to react. There is no difference. What's happening in these countries, what happened in South America 35, 40 years ago, where people being taken apart, where families were taken apart, where people were disappearing, where we didn't know where our friends and families were going. So I want that, again, a democracy is being taken away. This is what is happening today, is the beginning of a dictatorship. It's the beginning of a whole different system where we cannot speak any longer. Tell you, you talking today, me talking today, you talking today, is already we putting ourselves in a situation that it's dangerous for us to. I tell you, the power of government right now is totally to the other side. So I invite you not to think this United States is not the United States of the past. What's happening here today is what happened 35 and 40 years ago in our country where I flew against that. That's what I'm so emotional today. Because it's exactly the same thing. I flew Colombia when my friends, my family were taken apart. I flew Chile when it was happening in Chile, is what's happening here today to your brother. Please, don't stop. We need to continue to speak, and your voice needs to be very loud today. And we need to go out. We need to speak up. Because if we don't do it, the same thing that are happening in our countries, it will happen in here. Will be many desaparecidos, so they're gonna look like us. They're not gonna look like white people. They're gonna look like us. A lot of people of color is suffering. So we're here with you.
Thank you.
We are here with you.
Yes, we are.